Just I wanted to follow up what you said at the end of press conference Saturday about paring down the offense. I guess what leads you to do that, and why are you, I guess, in this position with the experience that you have on the offensive side, maybe minus the quarterback?
Well, that's the key spot, and that's why you got to do it. I just think there's so much on our game plans that we have to pare it down, and just our execution level has to rise. We got to make a change there in our execution level. And I don't think it was awful after watching the film, but it has to get better. And all those little things that you're doing. I think we need to, when you look at the film, the one area that I thought the offensive line were doing a great job on the down guy, but they were not getting off to the backer. And that's who was making a lot of those plays. You were asking me what happened in the run game, and I couldn't tell you.
Right.
But what was happening was they were doing a good job of movement with the down guy, and then that backer was playing low and fast. So in that situation, that guy has to come off faster to be able to block the guy. The second thing that was happening in the run game was that extra player that's in the box that we throw off of or run off of, he was creeping closer and closer to the box. So we should have probably had a couple more relief throws, and we should have thrown a couple more relief throws.
Right.
Should have had a couple more in the plan, but also should have thrown it the ones that we had called. That would have taken care of that situation.
Is that more of a fundamental thing than the number of plays you're calling, or are you not calling the right plays?
No. There's some plays that were called where we had those relief throws,
right,
and he was falling back and making it. Well, if that's happening, you got to throw it out there,
right,
and force him to go back outside.
Okay.
Force him to go back out there.
You want this team to get better every week.
They do.
My apologies. That was my phone. Did it? Where? Did it last week, and where?
Well, I think, when you have a glaring third quarter the way we did, it's hard to see where you get improvement. I think, there's definitely areas that we're improving upon. I think we're playing better outside of the wide receiver spot. I thought we had some open guys. We missed some open guys. One of the issues that we had was, I talked to David about his feet were very hot on Saturday, which doesn't allow you to be as accurate as you should be. And it's just about settling down his feet, being able to make those throws that are there to make those makeable plays. And then those throws that he has down the field, if his feet are a little bit settled, he's going to keep the ball on the field and give our guy a chance to go out and battle for it.
I mean, did he realize at the time he was unsettled?
I don't know if he did or not. He sees it on film after the fact. But I mean, it just, he'll feel a little pressure. Instead of just sliding away from the pressure, he'll take off running, and then all of a sudden it's his base isn't underneath of it. So those are things that we got to keep getting better. I have a young guy that's got to improve on that.
I mean, he's, in a lot of senses playing like a freshman because he is a freshman.
Yeah.
But these were things that you knew could potentially happen when you decided to put him as your starting quarterback. Correct.
And every week is a growing situation for him, and he has to continue to get better. And there's absolutely nobody harder on David Blau than David Blau. I mean, he just carries the weight on his shoulders. He came in here and said the 24-hour rule is over, so we got to move on. I said, you're not showing me that with your body language. So he understands it. I mean, he just wants the team to win so desperately, and he puts everything on himself. So, you feel for that stress that he has right now. So, hey, we'll get through this. We'll work through it, and you'll get better because of it.
Was Markel banged up at all? Did you choose to go with DJ?
No, he wasn't. DJ played very well. He was not banged up. I think we ran it 30-something times, I believe. I'm not sure exactly how many times the backs carried it, but it was something like that.
28 carries, but 20 from
DJ.
No, 13 from DJ, 6 from Markel, and 1 from David Yancey.
20 carries.
20 between the three.
Yeah.
Between the three backs. But 28 overall with David and the sacks.
Right.
Gotcha.
Kind of just going back to what Carmen was asking about what you said after the game in terms of paring down the playbook. Have you considered, or will you consider, making any changes in terms of responsibilities with the coaching staff?
Making changes with the coaching staff?
Like having Terry Malone, for example, do some play calling, or have
No.
you thought of any
No,
terms of, okay.
no, not at all.
So when you say that, you're just talking about
Call sheet.
the call sheet that you
Yes.
actually,
The actual call sheet, you know, it's a lot of stuff on there for us to be able to
yeah.
practice and execute at a high level, and that's where we want to, get to, just being able to execute. And again, there's some things that were there that we just didn't take advantage of.
Right.
you
The
know.
making the makeable plays.
Making
which
the
is
makeable
whole-
plays, right? And it feels, it's so, and you're on the field, and sometimes things feel a little bit hard, like, what's going on? How do you fix it? And those types of things. But then you go back and look at the film, there's opportunities there to advance the ball, and we're not doing it as well as we need to.
I guess, how did it get to that point where it was that big?
Well, it's always been that big. It just thinks it's got to go. I mean, there's 22 run calls on there, and a lot of them are similar. A lot of them are out of different formations and motions and shifts.
Mhm.
So for the offensive interior 5 guys, it's the same call. 12 or 13 sounds the same to those guys, but you still got to practice all those things. So we just need to pare it down, especially with a young guy behind the center that needs to be able to not think, just be able to react.
Do you have to do the same paring down on defense as well, and now with Bentley being out? Or
Not so much. We didn't do a whole lot on defense. We didn't tackle as well as we. And really, it was about 2 or 3 series where we didn't tackle. It wasn't the entire length of the game, but those 2 or 3 series were critical plays coming out of the locker room where you miss 6 or 7 tackles in a 2 or 3 series. I mean, it makes a whole big difference. We didn't do a whole lot schematically. And we probably won't, based on the teams that we're playing here the next couple of weeks, because they don't do a whole lot. You don't have to do a whole lot, but we got to be better at what we're doing on that side of the ball as well.
I mean, Jerry Kill, and you, I think, even said it on your radio show. He said we're going to run the ball 35 times or whatever. That's who
Right.
we need to be. So you knew what was coming.
Yep.
Then you just not? Was it a physical issue of not being able to stop the run when you knew?
Well,
I mean, the second half.
Second
obviously.
half, yeah. The first half, they did an unbelievable
Right.
job. Coming downhill, tackling,
Right.
played on their side of line of scrimmage, and then in the third quarter, that second play, the half, we missed 3 or 4 tackles on that play specifically.
Right.
And then kind of snowballed the next couple drives. We missed a couple tackles, missed a finish or 2, and then all of a sudden, things get out of hand pretty quickly.
Is Juwan definitely out for the season?
No,
He's not?
no.
How?
I mean, what's his, explain?
yeah,
Well, without giving you too much detail, that's something that he's done before. Same ACL. They used something before that, and I don't want to speak medical terms. I really
Right.
don't. But we're gonna go week by week to find out if he can brace and play with it.
Okay.
If he can, we'll play. If he can't, we'll do the surgery. But it's not definite right now. And it'll be
Okay.
his call.
Yes.
It'll be his call. It's not our call.
If it's his call, he's gonna play, right?
Could he have played
I mean,
on
he just
Saturday?
seems like
No,
he's that kind of
He
kid.
could not have played
He
on
could not
Saturday.
have played, okay.
Could not have played on Saturday. Healthy.
I guess, why couldn't he have played Saturday, but then maybe play this
He's
week?
got too much, because he tweaked, it's got too much swelling in it. It's very sore at the time being because he just recently injured it.
Right.
But it could be different 10 days from now. It could be different 2 weeks from now, where it stabilizes a little bit, and then he can brace it and go, and then have it fixed after the
I
season.
would say, does this eventually lead to
Yeah.
a surgery
Oh,
at some
absolutely.
point?
He's going to have it fixed.
Okay. Well, we've had that here before, so it's
Yeah.
something that
What's that?
Robert Marv did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's many guys. that
But
play with him.
that's a quarterback, and this is a linebacker.
Correct.
And just a little baffling. But all power to him.
Moving Jimmy then to the middle.
Yes.
How did that go? Is that the plan then going forward, or is Andy better fit there, or I guess just the thought process of putting Jimmy there, and then what's the?
Well, Jimmy's the guy he played a little bit inside before, but he's a guy that knows them all. He knows all 3 positions. It was just the most natural fit to push Jimmy to the inside. So we're going to leave him inside, leave Andy at the Sam, and then obviously leave Danny E at the wheelbacker, and go as long as you can with those 3 guys. They've all got field experience, and they're all good players. But you're thin. You are thin after that. You know, you lose Bailey and then Bentley for the time being, and you're down to the next guys.
All walk-ons, right?
Dez is not. Dez Polking
Okay,
is not.
Would you consider any of your true freshmen right now?
You know, that's a conversation that we'll have to have. I talked to Coach Freeman Thursday or Friday about that. Says there's someone else that we can bring up and potentially have him ready to go. But we have not had that conversation yet. Probably have it today.
Just what other things have you been looking at program-wise? I mean, you said after the game, you know, we got to look at everything. I mean, what kind of discussions have you had about things you can change? I mean, personnel-wise, it seems, I don't know how much flexibility you have there. I mean, I guess just generally, what things have you been examining over the last couple of days?
I think the thing that you look at the film, and I think that's where you gather all your information. You don't want to overreact. You know, when you have a quarter like that, sometimes you get, but you do have to make changes. That's things that you can make changes at. The two things that I think we have to do better is the two fundamental things in football. You got to block better up front, across the board, not just up front, everywhere, and you got to tackle better. Those two fundamental things are things that, if you do those things, you're going to give yourself a better chance to be successful.
How would you evaluate the job you've done as a head coach this year? I mean, I'm sure that's something that you look at every single week.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you better look in the mirror and say, what can I do better? There's obviously things that, you know, keep pushing my coaches, keep pushing my players. Is there something I can tweak in the schedule to change it up? I mean, just everything. You got to look at everything and never be satisfied as to where you are. Obviously, can't be complacent based on, you know, record and those types of things. But trust me, I'm evaluating myself.
When you said before the year you thought you had good enough players on this team to win games.
I do. I still do.
You still feel that
Oh,
way?
absolutely. Absolutely still. We still have 6 games left. And we certainly aren't writing this season off. I mean, a lot of times people remember how you finish, you know.
Does it all go back to those two things that you mentioned about blocking and tackling?
I think
some
that's
of the fundamental
where
things of why you're not, or why you're sitting at 1-5 right now?
I think that's where it starts, coming off of last week for sure. You just look at the third quarter, I think we can finish blocks better. You know, one of the things that I looked at on the other side of the ball as I'm evaluating our defense is we were missing some of those tackles because their offensive line didn't have a great fit on a guy, but they had some physical presence on a guy, which didn't allow our guys to get a great fit on the ball carrier. So they got a hand on him, or they got a shoulder on him, and, you know, it's hard to tackle a guy when you're getting leaned on by a 320-pound guy. And that's a lot of the times, that's when we were missing those tackles. So we have to be able to do that on our side of the ball, offensive line-wise, be able to put a hand on the guys, or put a shoulder on a guy, and allow our backs to be able to break through an arm tackle.
What was the